Hello my loves, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about Dolphin Pose. We're going to talk about how to do the pose, modifications, and a couple of tips and tricks. But first, I just want to point out that this is a strong pose. Dolphin is an inversion, which means that your head is below your heart. It's not going to be for everybody. Use your own discretion. Okay, so let's assume that you don't have any shoulder issues, you don't have any medical issues that would prohibit you from coming into a forearm balance. The one thing that I want to make sure here is that you can do two poses before you even attempt to come into dolphin. The first one is downward facing dog. Make sure that you have a nice downward facing dog before you come into dolphin. And we want to be thinking about the line from the hips to the shoulders to the wrist. That's the line that we're looking for here. The second pose we want to be thinking about before we even attempt our dolphin pose, and that is forearm plank. And you want to be thinking about forearm plank here with a nice square between the wrists and the elbows. So if your forearm plank has the hands coming in to create a triangle, make sure that you're working on your forearm plank with the forearms parallel to one another. If you have both of those poses and there's no issues with them, then you can work on dolphin. So how do we do dolphin pose? Come onto all fours and walk the hands a little bit in front so that they're not directly underneath the shoulders, so that you can bring your forearms down and sit your bum back, coming into puppy pose. And again, we're thinking about a nice square in between the forearms here. So the elbows and the wrists are the same distance apart. Pushing the forearms into the floor to kind of lift and elevate through the chest here. Pull the navel to the spine, tuck in the chin, drawing the lower rib cage in, lift the hips up, kind of tilting the hips up, and then when you feel ready, keep pushing up through the forearms, keep pushing into the floor. The head is nice and free here, it's not connected to the floor. And then any amount, you can start walking the feet in. The knees can be bent, that's fine. And you're trying to keep the shoulders over the elbows here and just lift the bum as much as you can up towards the ceiling. And as you've taken a few breaths in dolphin, you're still pushing the floor down, you're pushing into the forearms, you're pushing into the hands, you're doing everything you can to push down, to lift up. Then take a step back, take a step back. Drop the knees and then sit back into child's pose. Arms can reach back, or you can sit up, roll the shoulders back, draw the arms back, and open through the chest, however you feel. So it's a tough pose. But it's a strong pose and it builds a lot of strength in the forearms, in the upper arms, in the shoulders, in the core, and it is the preparation that you need to come into forearm balances. However, quite often what people want to do is get to the end point without the journey towards it, and they'll start to create these funky little habits along the way and then wonder why they can't come into a forearm balance. So let's look at a couple of things that can go wrong in your dolphin pose. So the first thing is that people want to do dolphin pose this way. They want to do it like they're going to come into a headstand. And that's not the same. If your goal is to come into forearm balances with your feet off the floor, then you need to work on this. You need to work on the foundation of your pose, which is the forearms and the hands and their connection to the floor. So what you might want to do is work with a block or two. And you can bring in your block here. Have it on your little L's here, palms down, thumbs and index fingers grabbing your block, elbows the same distance as your wrists, and then lift up and come into dolphin. Same in your forearm plank. Work on the little square rather than the triangle. So the second thing that can go wrong with dolphin pose is that when people lift up, because they don't have the range of motion that they'd like in their shoulders, as their feet comes forward, so does their head and so does their chest. They end up coming forward into this hybrid plank dolphin weird thing, rather than having their arms open here, rather than having the biceps towards the ears. And there's a quick test that you can do for this with a chair. You get your chair and bring your hands up. If you can get your head and your chest to sink down and get this nice line from your elbows to your shoulder to your hip, then you're ready for dolphin pose. If you're still here and you can't get down, then you're perhaps not ready for dolphin pose. You need to work on mobility in the shoulder. All right, the one final thing that I want to mention about dolphin pose, and that is bendiness. The bendiness in the pose. For many of us, it's quite easy to come into this pose and just come into it without any core activity, without any abdomen. So my belly right now is sinking back. So can you draw the lower ribs in and push into the forearms? Can it be a stronger pose? It's a subtle difference, but it's really needed when you come into your forearm balance poses. All right, I hope that helped. If you found something useful in this video, then give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. If you're interested in a full 60-minute video all about dolphin pose, then come join my Patreon community. The link is in the description. And remember, my loves, that karma is only a bitch if you are. So be nice, be kind, and be the change that you want to see in the world.